Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Think Tank guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, including K-12 Sports Tech. So stay with us. It's only going to take 3 minutes. Remember, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus for their support. Whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, or here's the big one, student athlete eligibility and clearance, Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every day. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And whether it's tickets for games, for school dances, for graduation, the Hometown team is going to help you make the best online ticketing solution. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's from Ohio University. It was a great experience. And while he was completing his master's degree, he also completed, and you will too, 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. For more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a small group that only wants to complain. Athletic surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that supports your program. And having that kind of data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. We want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. When I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents loved the tools, the videos, and the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school because it works. Go to snapraise.com. If you've been looking for a fundraiser, look no more. Snapraise.com. We want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also used it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen video consoles. They're also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. That's Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Make sure you mention the podcast. We want to thank our friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, whether it's a social media post celebrating a big victory or an entire newsletter sharing all the great things that your school does. The Gipper team is there for you. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to Gipper.com for more information. That's Gipper.com. And we want to thank K-12 Sports Tech. K-12 Sports Tech helps athletic directors and vendors connect through education and hands-on consulting. Athletic directors are also invited to join the K-12 Sports Tech AD think tank and help influence how companies shape their tech to better serve schools. To get started or to find out more, just go to k12sportstech.com. That's k12sportstech.com. Join the AD. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Athletic Director Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our, I call her a friend of the show, Makynna Lesinski. She was on the podcast back in 2024. If you're new to the show, Makynna's episode was the #1 downloaded interview that we had. So go back and take a listen to it. She's got an incredible background already early in her career. She was a high school coach. She's still a high school teacher and an assistant AD, also very active at the club level. Makynna Lesinski, welcome back to the AD Think Tank.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's always fun.
Well, you and I were talking before we started to record about relationships between coaches and officials. And, we're talking high school here, but I'm sure it could apply in middle school and youth, certainly in club. Uh, let's talk about some obvious things. And again, you and I talked about this. We need officials. We can't have games without them. So we don't want to be, running officials off. We acknowledge as coaches and as ADs that we might have a veteran crew one night and we might have a new crew, or maybe a veteran and a brand new person. It might be their first game that they're officiating, and everything in between. So we know we're not going to get, NCAA, Final Four officials at our high school game. At the same time, I think there's a long time feeling, if you will, among coaches, well, I have to hold the officials accountable, or I have to champion my team. And there's a lot of things in between that. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You're a varsity coach, great success at the club level. What is your approach with officials? How do you coach your kids with every ounce of your being, and also, let's say, manage a relationship with officials?
Yeah, so coaching and officiating, those are again two different ball games. You need to find that kind of happy medium area. Um, like if you want to question the official on maybe a specific rule, um, that can be either it's black or white, some rule that is that you can have that like adult conversation with them. This isn't you like screaming at the official, telling them they made the wrong call or didn't see this, because you have to remember when you're a coach, when you're coaching, you're also teaching lessons that aren't even in the sport. So if your team sees you yelling and screaming at the official, they're going to think in their mind that like, hey, maybe that's okay. If I don't get what I want, I'm just going to yell and say that I have to do this, and then they'll do that. So you have to remember that like you're a role model to those players and those athletes, that you can question the call. You can do it in like a peaceful matter, maybe not every call. Also respect the fact that we are in a referee shortage. So you may get those veteran referees or umpires one night, and the next game you may have people that are just getting into that field and this is their first game. So you want to kind of treat every official almost as if it's their first game. Like if they make a bad call, like you don't have to scream at them. You can maybe question like, hey, why did you call it that way? Or we were talking specific with volleyball earlier, like I thought that was a double. What did you see that didn't make that a double? Kind of things like that. And maybe you don't have to do that right away when it happens, maybe in between the games when you get that little couple minutes to be like, hey, I have a question. I noticed like this was a big kind of controversial call. Why did you call it that way? I'm just curious, like, and ask them rather than blowing up, throwing the clipboard, getting ejected because you kicked a chair, and because then that makes the coach look bad. Then whoever you're coaching for, that makes that program or that school look bad. And it's kind of like a domino effect. It falls on everyone. So if you can find that happy medium ground and be respectful towards the umpires or officials, I think that is huge in this world that we're in today.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's hard to, the expression stay in your lane. I would encourage our coaches to, hey, I'm paying you to coach the kids. If you're chirping at the officials, who's coaching the kids? Well, nobody is. Um, you've been a head coach, so you've had to, let's say, establish this is how we roll, how the kids are going to respond to that bad call, how your assistant coaches are going to respond, as well as yourself. And you're still very active, as a coach at the club level. What are some things that you do with your players and with your staff? You already talked about, talking, having conversations with officials, not during the game, but what are some things you do with your staff and your team to help prevent those types of meltdowns or negative reactions? Because that call, that bad call, regardless of the sport, it's going to happen sometime.
Yeah, it's going to happen no matter what. There's no if, ands, or buts if you'll get out of it. It just kind of falls back on making sure the kids know, like, life isn't fair. Sometimes you're gonna, like, as basic as it is, sometimes you're gonna get that call, sometimes you're not gonna get that call. And you just have to kind of, I don't, like I keep saying, find that happy medium with the kids. You want to show them that, like, you're okay if you get that call against you. Like, okay, instead of being mad about it, let's use that as a learning point. So, okay, this ref said that when I talked to them later, that they called it a double because your hands were like this way when they saw you release the ball. So I would make sure that I'm also relaying that information that I got from the official to my team. So they're not kind of in the dark, like, wait, she talked to them, but what did they even say? Like, what do they even care? Like, so want them to know that, like, you care about them and you're going to fight for them in that aspect, but also relay the information and kind of be like, okay, how can we fix this? Maybe we're going to have an official that is going to call every single nitpicky thing. Well, hey, guess what? That's going to make our volleyball better. If they kind of teaching them that there's always a positive twist on things and not always looking at it as a negative, like, oh, I screwed up there. Because from my point of view, volleyball is a game of mistakes. It's who will make the mistakes first. That's really it. So being able to flip that and kind of make that retrospect positive and how can we learn from that point is something I take into consideration with my girls or even with my coaches.
Now, in your experience, did your, as a high school coach, did your league, did your conference, at the club level, do the club organizers, do they do anything, let's say preseason, with the officials associations to, do, rule explanations or practice games or clinics? Do they do anything to kind of bring everybody together to build, let's say, a better relationship?
Yeah, so we actually in the state of Wisconsin, we have the WIA. So that is our, like, Wisconsin Interscholastic Association, athletic for athletics. And every year we get every coach gets a copy of, like, the rules at a glance. You see everything, every rule from A to Z that is for that sport. Then you also get a copy of any rule that has changed, which usually the coaches vote on at the end of the year. They're like, okay, for example, earrings in volleyball. Do we want to make it that girls cannot wear ear jewelry in volleyball? Yes or no? At the end of one season, we all voted. They voted that they don't care, but it has to be like smaller than a penny earring. It can't be anything. So, and then you get that those rules that may have changed or been tweaked, just so you know that you're not going to start arguing about something that actually changed. So they're always good. And that's on the athletic director. They're usually printing that out and giving that in the coach's handbook in the beginning. So it's trying to set our coaches up for success. They have a checklist on what to do, um, things like that to prepare in the preseason. So they're not kind of like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all these rules change and now I have to figure this out. We actually have coaches quizzes that are on the WIAA site. Every head coach and assistant coach gets a login and they get to take like a pre-quiz, see how they do if they want to redo it. And it's basically with the rules, you get a rule book and you're allowed to use that on your quiz. But it's just making sure you kind of know the ins and outs of your sport before it comes into effect during the season.
That's such a great idea. I remember years ago in Florida, the head coach for every sport had to, that was part of their checklist to, be allowed to coach that year. And they haven't done it for a while. I think it's great because as a basketball official, there'd be so many times I would have a coach, saying, oh, X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, uh, that's not even a rule. I think the most frequent one would be, and it was almost always a junior varsity coach because you do, as a referee, you do a JV and a varsity game. Um, and it's late in the game, less than a minute or something. And the other team would score a basket. And the coach who was behind, who now had the ball, said, hey, the clock's running, the clock's running. He wanted the clock to stop because he's been watching too many NBA games. And just, little things like that. And you would try to help them out as an official. For you now as an athletic director, an assistant AD at Rochelle High School, I know you're very involved with technology and social media. Have you had occasion to have to speak to one of your coaches about something that occurred with an official? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, that's okay. I have not, which is a good thing. Um, like I talked about earlier, all of our coaches kind of know that they're a role model or a figure that the students or athletes are looking up to. So I hope that I would never have to kind of be like, hey, chill out a little bit. But if anything, I would kind of like try to ease it over with them and kind of be like, okay, remember like last night when you blew up? How could we kind of fix that? Because that wasn't a good look for us. So thankfully, I have not had to deal with that yet. I'm sure in some point in my career I'll have to, but I have not at this point forward.
Well, what you just described, and again, our coaches did a great job at the school where I was an AD. There were those little moments, and it was never something over the top crazy, but there were moments where I could tell that they were they were ready to go. Fortunately, they held it together. And the next day, I would just try to catch them in the hallway or between classes. Hey, great game last night. What happened on that one play? And I'd kind of let them just at that point kind of get it off their chest
Yeah.
and I just say, well, hey, good job. Remember, I'm always there. We've got assistant coaches. Remember to coach the kids. But you've already got your plan in place. You're ready to go. I'm not surprised at all. Okay. Um, Makynna, I know it's incredibly busy, but we appreciate you sharing with our listeners. Always great information. As always, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, connect with you, add you to their network, or just pick your brain a little bit. And listeners, you got a great resource here. What's the best way that people can get a hold of Makynna Lesinski?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on a lot of the social media platforms, just my first and last name. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, my email. Um, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, really anything you can think of. I'm good with social media. So as soon as I get that notification, I like to at least, if I can't get you that answer, I'll be like, hey, thanks for reaching out. I just saw this. Let me get back to you later today because I'm busy right now. So shoot me a message on anything. I'll get that notification and I'll hopefully let you pick my brain a little bit.
Well, McKenna, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. All the best with all your endeavors that you're involved in. And listeners, she's right. McKenna is very active on social media. She's easy to find. Thanks again for sharing. We'll look forward to the next time we have you on the AD Think Tank.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be back later.
Okay. Just a reminder for our listeners, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you tuning in. And just a reminder, we do this just about every day. So thanks for listening. Come back next time for another episode of the AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. And before we go, we do want to thank all of our sponsors, including K-12 Sports Tech, along with Gipper, Huddle, Sideline Interactive, Snap, Raise, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, Hometown Ticketing, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration, and Home Campus. Thanks as always for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.